Amidst high secrecy surrounding Ukraine's counteroffensive, the commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces posting this rare video of himself visiting a command center near the front line. It shows General Valery Zaluzny studying a map with other senior military officials. Concrete trenches, tank barriers and traps, minefields, the entire 600-mile front line intended by the Russians to be a death trap for Ukrainian forces. In a Facebook post accompanying the video, Zaluzny writes, "Despite the fierce resistance of the occupiers, our soldiers are doing everything possible to liberate Ukrainian territory. The operation continues as planned." Zaluzny has yet to implement the part of the plan that launches brigades of Western-supplied tanks, armored personnel carriers, and tens of thousands of NATO-trained troops. We're beginning to see the type of Russian trench work they'll encounter, dug deep in anticipation of a monumental assault. Ukrainian Special Operations Forces sharing this dramatic video of them storming a Russian underground labyrinth, and they say taking enemy soldiers by surprise and killing them. Russia's defense ministry released video of its own, showing their soldiers firing from behind what appear to be well-constructed defensive corridors. But before taking them on, Ukraine is attacking behind enemy lines. Analysts believe the Ukrainian side used their new British Storm Shadow cruise missiles to destroy a Russian ammo depot in the Kherson region last weekend. 2 weeks into the counteroffensive, Ukraine is claiming incremental victories. A deputy defense minister saying that Ukrainian forces drove Russia from another village near the front line, this one along the most direct route to reaching the Azov Sea, what most observers consider to be Ukraine's main counteroffensive objective, one that would prove that the West's investment of billions of dollars in weaponry is paying off.
Jason joins us tonight from Kyiv. Jason, that's a really helpful breakdown of where things stand right now between these two countries. When you look at something like retaking the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, how does that fit into Zelensky's larger counteroffensive plans?
Well, it's certainly a wild card and very perilous. They know that. And we've heard for many months that the Russians have put at the site of the nuclear power plant military equipment. And we don't have to remind you, this is a really dangerous place to be fighting a war, because this is the largest nuclear power plant in all of Europe. And now, if what Ukraine's chief of military intelligence is saying tonight on Ukrainian television turns out to be true, it gets even more frightening. The Russians, he says, have mined part of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and the part they've mined is the one that keeps the unspent fuel rods from overheating. And he's saying that this is a certain threat, those are the words he used, to this plant. And this, as you can imagine, is a nightmare scenario if you were to have a full meltdown there. The IAEA was just there a few weeks ago. They were checking things out and reissuing the warnings that if war were to come directly to this power plant, it could be catastrophic. And so it's not just the shelling they're worried about. Now the Ukrainians are saying that the Russians have wired this place to blow up. And there wasn't, one thing I'll add is that there wasn't that much of a reaction to, a global reaction to the dam that was destroyed, that was blown up. And so people here are saying, well, the world wasn't outraged enough about that, and that may encourage Russia to do something else to blow up this nuclear power plant, if you can imagine.
My gosh, you've been telling us for a while the counteroffensive was coming in June, but now some really big unknowns that you're keeping your eye on. With us tonight from Kyiv, Jason Bellini, thank you and stay safe.